Hi, this is Ed Pullen from ABC Birding. I'm going to make a quick video today on how to use the eBird mobile app to create a checklist of the birds you see when you're birding. This mobile app is really cool. It's synced to your eBird account, so any information you put here will be right in your eBird account. When you have the eBird app on your phone, and you can download it from either the Google Music Store, Google App Store, or the iTunes Store, you'll just click on the eBird app. That will bring up an interface to start a checklist. In order to start a checklist, obviously, you simply click Start Checklist. But there are other areas on the front page of this phone. First, there is a My Checklist. It will bring up the recent checklists in reverse chronological order that you've entered. There's a trip summary. It will bring up how many species you've seen today or on a trip, where you can alter the dates using the date change feature, which is pretty cool, or of all time. But basically today we're just going to start a new checklist. So you'll start the checklist. The first thing you'll need to do is determine where you're at. The GPS in your phone drops a pin in the app right to exactly where you're at right now. So often the best choice is to choose a location from the map. Since the phone knows where you're at, it will go right to the location you're at using the GPS coordinates. Now, you'll see various colored spots on this. You'll see the yellow dot, which is where you're at. You'll see blue dots, which are personal locations you've previously used using the app. Or you may see a red hotspot. I'm at home. I don't have any hotspots where I live in this area of the map. And so I'm going to want to use one of my personal locations so that I don't duplicate that. And this is Pullen's backyard right here. So I am going to select the Pullen's backyard and hit next. The reason you use a hotspot if it's available is to allow compilation of data by eBird for the area that you're at. Now, once you choose the time, and you can change the time, adding minutes, subtracting minutes using the plus or minus minutes feature, or adjust the time, even the date or time, using the feature here. But usually, if you start the list when you're starting, you just set to now and you'll start checklist. Now this brings up from eBird a list of the species likely to be seen in your area. You'll notice on the top of the screen there are three choices: all, likely, and checked. Now those are different in that checked shows the species you've already checked on this checklist. I haven't entered any, so it doesn't have anything. All is all of the species that have ever been seen that could possibly be seen in your area. Not very helpful. And likely is what you'll use most of the time. So for entering a species, the best practices is to enter them as you see them. So let's say I walk outside and I see 3 robins. You'll see it says on the phone here, number and species code. Well, if you just enter your cursor in that area and you say 3, and an iPhone you use a space, on an Android you don't use a space, and then American Robin. I'm going to use the 4-letter code AMRO and tap on American Robin, and I have 3 American Robins. Let's say I see 10 American Crows. I'm going to hit 10 AMCR for American Crows. Now I have 10 American Crows. If you don't like to use 4-letter codes, just put in the name of the bird. Let's see, I see 5 American Widgeon. I'm going to put 5. And American is so commonly used that it's not very useful at searching, so I'm going to type in Widgeon. And I get 5 American Widgeon. So I'm going to type in 5 American Widgeon. As soon as you type in enough letters that the app can zero down to only those species where those letters are found in the name, it'll bring up a list, and often it'll be right there, easy to find. The other way you can do it is at the end of a day of birding, you can just scroll through the taxonomic list of species likely to be found. Let's say I saw 2 Canada geese. I'm just tapping on the plus button. Each tap brings in 1 species. So I saw 4 or 5, but eventually you get sick of tapping. Let's say I saw 80 Canada geese. I'm going to tap on the thing, and I'm just going to enter 80. Notice I tapped on the species. It brings me to a dialog box to enter how many I saw. It has a breeding code that you tap on this, and it'll bring up breeding code. Maybe I saw a courtship display in some of those. That's useful information for eBird, knowing that there's probably breeding going on in that area. Now I'm going to scroll down, and when I've finished entering all the birds that I saw, let's say I saw pied-billed grebe, I saw 2 western grebes, I saw 2 bald eagles, and 4 feral pigeons. When I'm finished, I'll go to the checklist. I'll make sure it looks pretty appropriate and miss anything. If I did, I can always add them. And I'll hit review and submit. When you review and submit, first I want to know if you're entering all the birds you saw. You should try to enter all the birds you saw. Don't worry if you're not the best birder in the world, you missed a few, it's okay. It's asking for how many you were able to identify, not how many Joe super duper birder could see. So you usually will check yes. If you happen to just saw one bird, you wanted to enter it, but you weren't making any effort to enter the others, you'd probably use an incidental type finding. But next you'll have to say what type of observation. Were you traveling, moving over an extensive area like half a mile, quarter mile, 4 miles, that sort of thing? Were you stationary? This is probably a stationary count since it's just a yard, a pretty small area. And a duration. The app will calculate your duration. I just was 4 minutes since I started talking here. And you can make comments. I'm going to take this as just a test list. It's not real. And then I'm going to click done. And then I'll submit the list. So the list submits. It goes right to your eBird account. And now because this was not a real list and I don't want it on eBird, I'm going to delete the list. I'm just swiping from the right and hit delete. It's going to ask me if I really want it because it's all gone. If I delete it, I'm going to say yes. But that's really all there is to submitting a checklist using the eBird mobile app. I'm going to make another app called Best Practices where it'll go over how to make some decisions when you're doing this. But basically, that's all there is to it. Good birding.